Hi, this is Dr. Agyapong. This is my first video in the faculty video series. I would just like to talk briefly about some of the research I do here in addition to teaching. So I'm very passionate about the bureaucracy and how it relates to the democratic system of government we have, especially here in the United States. The bureaucracy is a highly rationalized institution that is based on certain principles all geared toward efficiency. And so let's go back to Max Weber, who is popularly known as the father of bureaucracy. Now, on the other hand, our democratic system of government is not efficient at all. Decision making in a democracy requires so many forth and back, and it requires popular vote and things like that. Now, one of the principles of a representative democracy is the citizens elect their officials who represent their interest. Now, compare that to a bureaucracy which is entirely merit-based, and people get in by merit and are based on expertise. But these bureaucrats also have considerable discretionary authority. And so while the bureaucracy is about 3 or 4 steps removed from the ordinary citizen in terms of the ballot, they possess this authority in terms of discretion to decide who gets what, when, and how. So think about your local DMV and some of the bureaupathologies that we associate with these types of organizations. Now, a perennially vexing question in public administration is, how do we make a bureaucracy that is not based on popular vote but based on expertise accountable to the public? In other words, how do we ensure that the bureaucrats do not abuse their power? There are several ways to do that. One of them is overhead democracy. So the idea of overhead democracy is rooted in political control of the bureaucracy. An example will be the Administrative Procedure Act. In essence, Congress has the authority to set some rules and principles, guidelines that can regulate and also direct the bureaucracy in its interaction with the ordinary citizens. Now, the second way is citizen participation, or what we call deliberative democracy. This is where citizens, especially on the community or local level, can participate in bureaucratic decision making in areas that affect their lives directly. So think about the school board meetings, think about the city council meetings where parents can sit in, or people in the local government can attend these meetings to provide feedback or just to add their sentiments. Third way to make the bureaucracy responsive to the public is through administrative ethics. Administrative ethics is very old, so it relies on the idea of bureaucrats self-policing themselves by subscribing to these ethical principles. So public services do have ethical codes. In addition, public administrators usually join professional associations such as the International City County Management Association or the American Society for Public Administration. All of these associations have ethical codes of conduct and require that every member subscribe and follow these in decision making and as well as in daily interaction with the public in delivery of public services. Now, finally, another way to make the bureaucracy responsive to the public is through what we call representative bureaucracy. Now, the idea of representative bureaucracy is quite akin to our representative democracy, where we elect officials to represent our interests. In this case, the proponents of representative bureaucracy want to change the internal composition of the bureaucracy so that it becomes a microcosm of the society. The idea is that if bureaucrats reflect the demographic of the community they serve, not only will they be responsive, but when making decisions, their values and the opinions will be quite reflective of the people, and in a sense, they will choose policy options that the entire community would have chosen if they had it means to be involved in the decision-making process. Now, this is an interesting theory, and so in the next series of the video recordings, I'm going to expound on my research on representative bureaucracy, especially the empirical findings. Obviously, there are so many limitations, and there are so many variables that play a role into how bureaucrats can represent the interest of citizens. So question is, what are the underlying assumptions of representative bureaucracy? And second, are there any empirical basis to justify administrative reforms based on this theory? In the next recording, I will share some findings from my research on representative bureaucracy and also expound more on bureaucratic responsiveness. Again, this is Dr. Agyapong, Robertson School of Government, and thank you for checking my corner here.